Four news stories for you viewers. Firstly, just a few hours ago, I informed you about a failed coup attempt in Sudan. After that, Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok delivered a speech. He is accusing internal and external forces of planning this coup. What does he mean by external forces? Is he accusing neighboring countries? Because Sudan, Ethiopia, Sudan, Eritrea relations have not been very friendly over the past few months. We'll have a detailed look at Abdullah Hamdok's statement. Secondly, viewers, Tigray fighters have shared their pictures from a town which is situated between Vuldia and Dasi. I'll show you the pictures. Thirdly, today some afar news sources claimed that Tigray Defense Force had tried to enter Zone 2 of Afar region. TDF is out of Afar. Why is that? Once again, Afar news sources are talking about TDF's entry in Zone 2. We'll talk about that. Fourthly, viewers, Joe Biden just a few hours ago addressed UN General Assembly. His speech shows that Tigray is on top of US agenda. We'll talk about Joe Biden's speech. Firstly, viewers, today some Sudanese military officials tried to stage a coup, but the attempt could not succeed. Sudanese government, Sudanese military are in control of the situation. After that, Prime Minister of Sudan, Abdullah Hamdok, delivered a speech. In his speech, he accused both internal and external forces of being behind this coup. What does he mean by external forces? Is he referring to Sudanese neighbors, or is he talking about Sudanese elements who are living or staying abroad? Viewers, Sudan-Ethiopia relations have not been very friendly since November last year, when war broke out in Tigray region of Ethiopia. Sudan took advantage of this war. Sudan took control of border areas on Sudan-Ethiopia border. Al-Fashaga was a long-standing disputed territory between Sudan and Ethiopia. This place was under the control of Amhara farmers, but when war started in Tigray, Sudanese forces took control of Fashaga. Since Amhara forces, ENDF, were preoccupied with war in Tigray, they could not launch a full-scale attack on Sudanese forces. But Ethiopian government has been issuing statements against Sudanese government. Then Sudan offered to mediate Tigray conflict almost a month ago, but Ethiopia outrightly rejected the Sudanese offer. Lastly, just 3 weeks ago, Ethiopian government accused Sudan of harboring and arming Tigray fighters, and Ethiopian federal government, Ethiopian National Defense Force, Amhara regional president, they have issued statements over the past few weeks that Tigray fighters are trying to enter from Sudan into Amhara to make Amhara region destabilized. So relations between Ethiopia and Sudan have not been very friendly. Same is the case about Sudan Eritrea ties. Sudan has been accusing Eritrea of backing Ethiopian forces. And we have seen mobilization of Eritrean forces along Ethiopia-Sudan border as well. Could there be any involvement of Isaias Afwerki and PM Abiy Ahmed in the planning of this coup? We don't have any evidence, viewers. We don't have any concrete information. If Ethiopian or Eritrean governments are involved in this coup, we are heading towards a large scale destabilization of the Horn of Africa. We don't have any evidence so far. Only Abdullah Hamdok's statement is on record, who is accusing external forces of being behind this coup. By the way, this is not the first coup attempt since 2019 when Sudan's Sovereignty Council was formed. There have been several coup attempts, but this was the first attempt which actually materialized, and army officers, they try to take control of Sudanese state media building. The coup has failed. Coming hours are very critical for this region, for the Horn of Africa. Coming hours and coming days. Secondly, we have been discussing Wuldia Dasi fronts. Wuldia under TDF, Dasi under Amhara control. What about the towns between Wuldia and Dasi? Mersa, Vichale, Hayek. We have received conflicting reports about these towns, so it was difficult to say with certainty that who was controlling these places. Today, TDF fighters shared their pictures from a place between Dasi and Wuldia. Name of the place is Mersa, viewers. Mersa is situated to the south of Wuldia city. You can see the pictures on your screen. TDF fighters were seen in a local market in Mersa. These are fresh pictures. We have not seen them before. TPLF allied news sources say that Mersa is under a TDF control. These pictures are a piece of evidence that Mersa is under TDF. Secondly, Afar news sources today said that Tigray Defense Force tried to enter Zone 2, Yellow Gulina, but this attempt has failed. So several news sources have been reporting about that. A viewer contacted me. He said, Sajid, what's your take on that? Well, TDF is out of Afar. TDF is no more in Afar region. It has withdrawn from Afar region. If there is some sort of fighting in Zone 2, there might have been some sort of border small scale clashes. According to my information, Tigray Defense Force has not launched any full scale offensive on Zone 2. TDF is out of Zone 2. TDF will not launch any offensive on Afar until and unless Afar forces join Amhara forces on Wuldia Dasi fronts. So far, Afar forces are neutral. We haven't seen them, especially on Wuldia Dasi fronts. They haven't joined Amhara forces, ENDF. If they join ENDF Amhara forces, then we could see TDF entering Afar once again. Lastly, Joe Biden just an hour ago addressed UN General Assembly. He talked about several conflicts in his speech: Syrian conflict, Yemen conflict, Israel-Palestine conflict, but only one conflict he mentioned twice, and that conflict was Ethiopia's Tigray conflict. He used the phrase rape as weapon of war, which is generally used when we talk about Tigray war. Tigray is on top of US agenda, viewers. This speech indicates. He talked about human rights abuses in China, in Xinjiang. In the same sentence, he talked about human rights abuses in northern Ethiopia, in Tigray. So that shows, viewers, that Tigray is on top of US president's agenda. US has announced a sort of a framework for the imposition of sanctions on Ethiopian, Eritrean governments and TPLF as well in case of continuation of hostilities. That shows you that in coming days we could see some very harsh sanctions on those individuals, those entities which US sees as hindrance to peaceful resolution of Tigray conflict. Watch a few snippets of Joe Biden's speech at UN General Assembly. I think watch.
We cannot give up on solving raging civil conflicts, including in Ethiopia and Yemen, where fighting between warring parties is driving famine, horrific violence, human rights violations against civilians, including the unconscionable use of rape as a weapon of war. We'll continue to work with the international community to press for peace and bring an end to this suffering. We almost call out and condemn the targeting and oppression of racial, ethnic, and religious minorities when it occurs whether it occurs in Xinjiang or northern Ethiopia or anywhere in the world.